You're listening to the Wealthy Lawyer Squad podcast. I'm your host, Lauren Klein, and the founder of the Wealthy Lawyer Squad, a community specifically curated for law students and lawyers who are ready for more success, wealth, personal growth and wellness, and ease in their legal career. With the tools and strategies I teach in the squad and that I've implemented in my own career successfully, I want you to get ready to approach your legal career in a whole new way and live a life you never imagined. I'm a former big law attorney, entrepreneur, law firm owner, and success coach for law students and new lawyers, and I am here to support and inspire you on your journey in the law every step of the way. Let's go, squad. Welcome back to another episode of the Wealthy Lawyer Squad podcast. I am sitting here today with my friend, Syrita Morgan. So happy to have you. And I hope today is just like us chatting and getting a cool recording of it and people get to hear, because I know we've had some very cool conversations since we've met. So welcome to the show.
Thank you, Lauren. Thanks for having me.
I'm so excited. So I'm going to do a quick bio and then we're just going to dive in. I want to hear all about your journey. I know some of your journey, but I don't know all of it. So Syrita Morgan is an attorney, law firm owner, and wellness enthusiast. You currently reside in South Florida, like myself, and you practice personal injury law and contract law. In addition to your passion for the practice of law, Syrita is enthusiastic about golf. I know we'll definitely talk about that today. Holistic wellness, that as well, and consciousness, which is so important in any industry, but especially as lawyers. And Syrita's a member in good standing of the Florida Bar and California, active in Florida and active in California. So welcome. I can't wait to hear about your journey and some of the cool things you have going on. So Syrita, tell us about your law career. Where did you get started and how did you get to where you are today?
So I started my legal career in-house at an insurance carrier, and it was my last year of law school. I ended up interning with them, and I actually was kind of just trying it out. Everyone was telling me you should get litigation experience. Prior to that, I was not interested in litigation at all. I didn't think I would be good at it. I thought it would be really hard. I didn't think it would be a good fit for my personality. And I later found out that personalities can change. And so, but I was like, you know what? I'm resisting this hard. So let me just take a civil pretrial practice elective and get an internship in a litigation firm. And so luckily I found an in-house firm. So I was at a firm. We were 100% set apart from the carrier, but all of the work came from the carrier.
Okay.
But since we were in-house, there was no billing. So attorneys were more open to sharing their time to explain things to me. And they told me, if you want to stay with us after you graduate, you can have your own caseload. From the beginning, you'll have a support staff and agency over your cases.
Wow.
And I said yes, and that's what we did. So I was in-house, first practicing personal injury in California, and then I moved to Florida, and I started working on their PIP team, which is a breach of contract work where I'm representing the carrier specifically instead of representing their insureds. And then some changes happened in Florida law. I saw that the PIP work I was doing was kind of going to phase out. So I went ahead and switched back to personal injury, anticipating starting my own personal injury firm.
That's amazing. And how is it going so far with your own firm?
It's the best idea I ever had. And
Yes.
I always say that. I say that about every idea that I have. But so far, this is the best one I've had. And I remember the last time I had the feeling like this strong of like, wow, Syrita, like, good job. It was after I took the California bar, like my first week going back to work and just still working as an associate until I got my California bar number.
Yeah.
I just felt so lucky to be in the place that I was in, grateful to myself for making the choice to put myself there. And I feel the same way now.
Yeah, I love that. And I have to say, I think starting my own firm is definitely one of the best decisions I've ever made by far. Not that it's easy, but it is. I have found it so worth it.
Yeah, and I feel like it's definitely different skill sets. Like at first I took the time to identify mentors and coaches and really built myself a nice network. I even moved from downtown Fort Lauderdale to Delray Beach because I wanted a super quiet, nurturing environment. And so I was like setting myself up, and I was just thinking, I'll be practicing law, but I understand that I have to set up the business. And I picked all these people that were going to help me do that. And once I got into it, I realized I'm like, yes, I can identify people that are going to help me with it, but there's no avoiding turning into a businesswoman.
Yeah.
I just have to go ahead and see myself as that because that's what I am now.
Yeah. It's a big mental shift. It really is. Like
Yeah.
for me, it was like moving from the employee mindset to the business owner and stepping into that role confidently without ever really having done it before. I'm so, so, so happy for you.
Thank you.
And how did you get into golf? How did that kind of transpire?
So I always knew that I was going to play golf. When I was growing up, my grandparents on my mom's side, they were huge golfers my entire life. My grandmother was a great golfer. She's
Wow.
passed now, but she had 4 hole-in-ones in her lifetime.
Wow.
And she was a stay-at-home wife, so she really just practiced a lot. I always saw her practicing. She played regularly with her women's group, and then she would play with my grandfather on the weekends. And they would always tell me, you should play golf, you need to, but they never pushed it on me. And so I kind of was like, yes, I will, I want to. And I never really wanted to invest the time in it. I never chose to invest the money in it.
Yeah.
And then when I was in law school, I joined the Golf Society and got to practice for free. And then at that point, my grandfather went ahead and sent me some clubs out to California. So I kind of got into it there. And then when I moved to Florida, I moved to downtown Fort Lauderdale, which is not conducive to playing golf at all. And so and I had left my clubs in California.
Oh,
And
wow.
then when I moved to Palm Beach County a little over a year ago, I bought clubs again, and I made a New Year's resolution to practice for 100 hours, independent from playing 100 hours of practice, because I knew
Wow.
how important practice is to playing golf. And I blew through those 100 hours. Like by June of that year, I was done with the 100 hours. I was like, okay, let's make it 200.
Wow.
And I stayed really on top of it because at the time I was still working in-house for the carrier, and I had a team, and we had team meetings like every other week. And I had set up our icebreakers for the meetings were updates on how everyone was doing with their New Year's resolutions, so that the New Year's resolutions could stay, top of everyone's mind.
I
Because
love
otherwise,
that.
you'll just, you'll forget about them.
Yeah.
And I got to see and literally talk and articulate how well I was doing. Or I remember at the beginning of the year, I went like maybe 2 months, like maybe a month and a half, without even really setting up range practice in my schedule, but I was doing the things to prepare for it. Buying outfits, which is always like really important to me.
Yes.
Trying new stretches. I completely changed my workout routine.
Wow.
Because I realized the workouts was doing were fun, but they were a bit exhausting. And then I was just really wearing out like my mind-body connection doing those things. And so I changed, I switched, I started doing more Pilates and less HIIT type workouts.
Yeah.
What else did I do? I joined a couple groups, like women's golf groups, and then one co-ed group, and just really setting myself up for success in the first place.
That's so cool.
Yeah, and then I also got a coach, so I worked with him doing lessons at first like once a week, and then kind of tailored off to now I just take a few lessons when I feel like it.
That's amazing. So far there's a theme. You're starting a business, you set up all the people around you that, you're going to have to do it and step into that role, but you're taking the steps ahead of time so you could be successful and you could have people around you. Then you're saying, okay, I'm going to commit to this hobby, this activity, this way of life. So here are all the things that I'm going to do. I love that because so often we make a resolution or a plan, but then we don't actually set up a plan to make that happen. And so the year goes by and you're like, oh my God, it's 2026. I didn't do anything I said I was going to do. So that's definitely something I see in you, that you're like, okay, we're going to do this. Here's all the things that we're going to do ahead of time to get there. And it works.
That's amazing. As much as I've said it before, I never really noticed it as a pattern.
Yeah, that's incredible. And I think for everyone listening, whether they're in law school or lawyers, that can apply to so many things in their life.
Yeah. Actually, thinking back, I remember when I was in law school, I really started changing up my habits because I wanted to make sure I was building myself into a life that I could handle. So in law
Mm,
school, there was no alcohol, like no influence, like substances.
yeah.
I was like, let me find some habits that are actually going to support me in law school. And that way I'll have them when I am an attorney. And a lot of that was taking time for myself still, even if I was told, oh, I have to do a 1L internship. I'm like, actually, I'm going to go to Greece because that's what I planned to do. And I was
Yeah.
like, if I
And look,
don't,
it worked out.
it did work
It
out.
all worked out.
Yes, exactly. And I remember thinking, I was like, I don't think anyone's going to teach me how to be like a happy person in my life. So
Yeah.
the life that I'm creating, I want to make sure I can do that. And now yoga and things are second nature to me. But back in law school, I remember like researching what postures are good for, like what poses are good for what specific benefits. And then I would
Mm,
actually just do that posture, like just
yeah.
when I needed that particular benefit, not even having to rely on a yoga class. It wasn't about that. I just actually wanted to figure out how to make this tool beneficial to me. And
Yeah.
now that's still something that I have today.
That's amazing. So you're saying that you've always had this calm, confident aura, even in law school.
In law school, I definitely did. And it was
Yeah.
funny because people thought that I didn't get it. They thought, like, they're like, do you understand that law school is not like undergrad and there's a curve? And I was just like, I understand what a curve is and it has nothing to do with me. And so they're like, she doesn't get it.
You're like, I think you're the one that doesn't get it.
Yeah. And I would try to share things with people. I really the only thing law students cared about were their grades.
Yeah.
So I was in law school. I was president of the Mindfulness in the Law Society,
Mm,
and I would host. I think it was like Mindfulness Mondays, and I would teach different breath works and just kind of lead people through them. Even though I'm not trained in
yeah.
breath work or anything, but I was like, this is the breath work that I do, and it helps.
Yeah.
And just to give them a chance to actually practice it. And that way I was like, okay, maybe if you have it practiced, then you'll do it on your own sometime.
Yeah.
And I was also TA for my business associations law
Mm,
class. I loved business associations. And I had Cali'd the class. I got the highest grade in the class. And it
yeah.
was a closed book kitchen sink exam.
Oof.
And when I got that exam back, I was like, oh my God, I am good. Like literally no marks on my exam.
Wow.
And the students, when I would have office hours for being the TA, would come to me and they'd say, how do we do well on the exam? And I'm just like, know everything and take practice tests. That's
Yeah.
what you can do.
Yeah.
And I would try to just give them advice. I did other things like maybe reading the newspaper, like the
Mm,
business section of the newspaper, reading other resources, learning resources, just so I
yeah.
could hear the information in a different way.
Yeah.
And the they just wanted the quick fix, like how do I put my outline together? I never used outlines in law school. I wasn't.
Really?
No, I did not.
So what did you do?
Knew everything and
So you
took practice
just,
tests.
wow, that's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, I would just
That's
take in the
amazing.
information until I understood it, and I would start practice testing myself throughout the semester
Mm,
using the information, the questions that would be at the end of sections, taking those to office hours.
yeah.
And that was what was helpful for me to, because I'm like, if you actually know it, you don't need
Yeah.
the outline.
I swear, I think that before anyone goes to law school, they need to take some sort of test to see how they learn best, how they retain information, because I feel like law school kind of gives just like a blanket advice of how you succeed,
Yeah.
but everyone learns differently,
Yeah.
and if you're overthinking or overcomplicating the process, but you're missing the material or you're not showing up to office hours when your professor holds them,
Yeah.
you're missing out on those little nuggets that the professor's probably going to drop at some point,
Exactly.
you
Even
know?
if I didn't have a question, I would just go. I would just go and just receive the answers from other people's
Yeah,
questions.
yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. You have just the best energy, I swear.
Thank you.
And I love so much that you're like, people are like, you don't get it. And you're like, no, I'm putting words in your mouth right now, but like, you're like, you don't get it. Like, I am dedicating my time. I'm keeping myself calm and mindful and not just, drinking myself silly every weekend so that I'm exhausted on Monday. Like, if you keep your mind and your body right, like, I think people overlook it's so simple. It's not that it's always
Yeah.
easy, but those things are so simple for happiness and success and performing well at a job or on an exam, whatever it might
Yeah.
be.
And the things that are easy to do are so easy to not do
Yeah.
because we're normally trained to value what comes hard.
Yeah.
And one thing I've really learned just from
Yes.
watching other people is that one way that people make a hard life or a hard situation is by choosing to not do the things that are easy that will
Mm.
contribute to the outcome that they want. That's the best way to make something hard.
Damn. Okay. Episode over. Mic drop. It's so true though. It's so
Yeah.
true. And I think in the law in particular, there's just this concept that if you're not exhausted and you're not overworking and it doesn't feel hard, that you're not doing it right somehow, which is so crazy. Like when you really break that down, that doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I feel like the law, it's not rocket science, and it just takes your time and attention.
Yeah. And
That's really
finding
what it
what
takes.
you get, like finding the classes that you really love and that click
Yeah,
and pursuing that.
yeah,
Not just pursuing a dollar. I mean, everyone, money is important. That's how the world goes round. That's how we get to do the things we love and support our families and
yeah.
pay our law school debt, but it's not everything.
Speaking of that, one thing that I used to do to make like studying fun for me, if I
Mm-hmm.
was, because in law school, there are some classes that we're going to have to take that we do not
Yeah.
resonate with. And same thing with studying for the bar exam.
Yeah.
And when we practice, there are parts of our jobs that we may not resonate with. And it's really our job or our responsibility to decide whether we're going to enjoy ourselves or not.
Mm.
And enjoying myself is just it's top priority for
Yeah.
every day of my life.
Yeah.
So, one thing that I did, and I cannot take credit for making this up because it was given to me by a spiritual teacher,
Mm.
and he was like, just ask how much money would make this fun for you. And so, if I have to
Mm.
do something, I'll decide how much money would make this fun for me.
Wow.
And even if it's like reading, it's like I will pay myself by the minute
Wow.
and decide I'm receiving that much money for it. And then I'm happily engaged in
I
it.
love that.
And I don't have a point of view about where the money's going to come from.
Oh my God, that's so good.
Yeah.
There's so many like amazing nuggets in here. So tell us, because you're incredible. How did you come up with the idea for Happy Bar Prep? Tell us, what is it? Because you were obviously a happy, peaceful, mindful person. Like, how did this come out? And like, what is Happy Bar Prep? What does that mean?
So, Happy Bar Prep is actually something that I would say to people when they were going to start studying for the bar. First, it was me talking to my fellow students, and then my mentees that I had. I was a peer mentor when I was in law school. And so when they started, after I graduated, they started studying for the bar, and I would tell them, Happy Bar Prep. And I
I
genuinely
love it.
meant it because I absolutely loved bar prep. So
I did too.
yeah,
I really did.
and so I would share with people, I would give them questions to ask about what their point of view was about bar prep and where they got that from. Like just really inviting them to change their point of view because, in my experience, our point of view creates our reality. A fixed point of view is going to contribute to a fixed reality, and being in question contributes to a circumstance or even ourselves personally changing, like expanding or adapting. So there are questions in Happy Bar Prep that people can ask about what they expect from bar prep, what they would like to have. And also, there are tools that are like mindset tools to really kind of just turn your brain into Play Doh and change it into a medium that's going to invite a happy experience, like ease, joy, and glory with the bar exam, bar prep. And then you can actually use the same tools in the practice of law.
Ease, joy, and glory. I love it.
Yeah.
Because we do get to decide, what we want this life to look like.
Yeah.
I mean, we can choose for it to be negative, and there's always going to be negatives and positives no matter what in any life and circumstance, but we get to choose, and it's
Yeah.
powerful. A lot of people don't realize that.
I had a professor in law school. He was an evening professor in a real estate law elective class, and he was kind of a like rogue kind of professor. But he, at the end of one semester, was speaking mostly to the graduating students in the class who were getting nervous about bar prep. So he wasn't necessarily speaking to me at the time, but he said, you know, the bar exam is a basic competency test. If you plan on practicing law, then the bar exam should be the least of your concerns. It's a basic competency test, though people have created an idea of it being so hard, the most difficult thing you ever do in your life. You have to know so much information, and it's not possible for a brain to hold that much information for long. These are all fixed points of views that people have adopted, and many people just like perpetrate that information on other people who either ask for advice or they just volunteer the information when you didn't even ask. And so it's and so I really try to invite people to decide, like, what do you actually want it to look like for you? Some people do want it to be hard because they value doing something hard because it makes them feel more valuable.
Yeah.
Or they might want to use it as an excuse to be able to, you know, have less responsibility in their family or be able to take a break from their friends or something like that. So people have plenty of reasons why they might be attached to it being difficult. But if you actually are willing to have it be easier, then you can start asking questions, like questions that I like to ask when I'm doing new things. And especially if I'm starting to feel ambivalent about it, I love to ask, what is right about this that I'm not getting? What is right about me that I'm not getting? And how much fun can I have here? Because if I'm not enjoying and appreciating an experience, clearly I have cut myself off from the awareness of what's right about it, what's right about me, and how much fun I can have right there.
Wow.
Yeah. And having fun right where I am is important to me. For one reason, I know I'm not ever going to stay in one place that I am, though I like to move from one place to the next in my life, not running away from something that's uncomfortable or not having to identify a problem with where I am. Like even when I was working in for an insurance carrier in-house in a very corporate environment, I absolutely loved it. I was happy as a clam. And I remember one season, there was a lot of change in the legal environment and also change to the way they were structuring our offices. And people were bowing out, like having one woman had a nervous or mental breakdown. Her body started breaking down, and she was young, but she left the practice of law to go be a recruiter.
Wow.
And then her replacement committed suicide, unfortunately.
Oh my gosh.
And I remember when I went into the office, like the next day I went into the office after he was gone, I saw their offices empty. And I was like, wow, you know, he's gone. And if she had stayed here, she probably would have been gone too. Because she had been telling her paralegal she was contemplating suicide. She was crying every day.
Oh my gosh.
And I was like, wow, but I'm happy as a clam.
Yeah.
Like, I'm so happy. And I just know that it's really a mindset. It's not necessarily the environment. But one thing that I do is I ask those questions. I've been asking them for years to the point where it just is the way that I am. When anything happens, my natural reaction is, how is this good for me? Like, I just am always curious about what's right about something and what's right about me, because it's very easy for us to go into what's wrong about us.
Yeah. Yeah.
And one thing that I love to do is speak to people who are interested in a legal career or are already in a legal career, and they're also into like spiritual energy work. And I notice a lot of people will think that they have what it takes, and they do, you know, to go into the legal field. And then once they get into it, they kind of forget to be that magical person that they were before. They don't know how to apply it in this new setting. And so I love speaking to that type of person. I feel like they can hear me a little better.
Yeah. Even if maybe they haven't been in that mindset for a little while, they know it because they were that way before the law kind of got to them.
Exactly. Yeah. And so one thing that I can always tell this type of person is, like, if you know you're an empathetic person, you know you might be like an energetic sponge. Like, we actually absorb so much of other people's thoughts, feelings, and emotions. And I have a great example of one time in law school. I had been interning during the day, and then I was taking a summer class, an evening class in the summer, and I had been having a great day. And then I got to campus. I was there a little early, so I went to go read. And I was in the library, and I just like couldn't focus. I caught myself reading the same paragraph like 2 or 3 times and still not getting it. And I was like, that's weird. And I asked, like, what's wrong with me? Which is not even a question. It's a conclusion that there's something wrong with me. And I was like, okay, well, and I was like, started getting hot. I was very frustrated. And I was like, you know what, Sarita, it's okay. Just, we're going to get through class and then we'll go home and go to bed.
Yeah.
And so I went from having a great day to just let this day be over. And within a couple minutes, nothing had happened. And I didn't really ask a question. And then finally, I heard a man's voice in my head saying something extremely violent. And I had like a memory of like that morning being in a kitchen and some man saying violent things to me. And that was enough for me to be like, whoa, whoa. I don't actually know anyone in my life who talks to me like that. So I was like, who or what am I aware of?
Well, yeah, what were you picking up around
Exactly.
you?
Yes.
Oh
And I
my
turned and looked,
gosh.
and there was a woman at the table behind me, drenched her head. Her hair was like soaking wet to her head, and
Oh,
she like looked so stressed out. And I was like, okay, body, I get it. We're aware of her.
yeah,
Cool. But let's get back to like what's true for us, please.
right. Yeah,
And immediately, just like that, just from acknowledging that it's not me.
yeah,
And the beautiful thing is, we don't even have to actually know who or where something is coming from. Just the acknowledgement that it's not us can be so powerful in getting us to, instead of adopting that something's wrong with us, and then
yeah,
if we carry it long enough, we'll start to see things show up that actually mirror that truth for us. So I like to be very quickly energetically responsible and just take account of what's actually true for me and not. And usually for me, that I look at what is feeling light and expansive and right for me. If I'm feeling wrong, I'm like, well,
yeah.
something's not me. Who does this belong to? And I actually ended up talking to her. She was in my class actually at the break in the class. And since I was like the president of mindfulness in the Law Society, I was our SBA vice president. So I had a couple hats. So I felt comfortable just like approaching people. So
Yeah.
I'm like, hey, I've never seen you here before. Hi. And she was like, oh, actually, I took a couple semesters off because of some family issues. This is my first semester back. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. And I don't know if her family situation had changed and maybe she was just reliving it
Yeah.
or if she was still in it. But the bottom line is that we always have to remember that people are not 100% congruent. They don't always act like what they're going through. And so when we get into these environments that can be very stressful around some people who don't always take the time
Yeah.
to tend to their internal environment, like we can just trust, like, actually, it's not us. Like, there's
Yeah.
nothing wrong with
Yeah.
us. Yeah.
Wow. I think that's so huge, especially for those who are empaths. I mean, for
Yeah.
anybody, but I know my law partner is one, and we're meeting with people all day, and sometimes I'm like, we need to like clear your energy because I could just see it, weighing on her at the end of the day. And as we're going out in our, our days and our lives and law school and work, like I think whatever you can do to kind of like guard yourself and ask questions and be mindful, be aware of, okay, where is this coming from? And I love that. And I remember you had told me those questions that you ask yourself. We went to happy hour with a group of friends, and I had never thought about it that way. And I've used that, for myself in certain situations where I'm like, why do I feel like this? What is happening? Or the negative self-talk, starts up as an entrepreneur where you're like at your highs, I'm a genius and now I'm an idiot, you're just like, it's like throughout the day you go through all those emotions. So I love that so much. And it definitely impacted me deeply when you told me that. I was like, wow, I never thought about it like that. I wish I
Yeah.
would have had those questions in law school
Yeah.
because it can be, if you're not aware and mindful and loving yourself during those moments, like it can take you for a wild ride
For
for sure.
sure. Yeah, if you ever have the thought of I'm an idiot again, just, you know, you don't even have to beat yourself up for having the thought. Just be like, oh, who does that belong to? That's not
Mm,
really you. You don't talk
mm-hmm.
to yourself like that.
Yeah. Yeah. And being aware we're not our thoughts.
Yeah.
Sometimes our thoughts are just on a loop and it's like, okay, thank you, brain. But that's not me. My
Right.
thoughts are not me. No, I love that. If people want to check out Happy Bar Prep, where can they find Happy Bar Prep? Where can they find out more about you? Because I know people are going to want to connect with you for sure.
So for Happy Bar Prep, there's happybarprep.com, which is a website that has a link to purchase the book on Kindle.
Amazing.
I also have Happy Bar Prep as an Instagram page.
It's good.
So
Check it out, everybody. It's really
yeah,
good.
I try to keep it updated with just little mindset questions and information. And so if you want something like that on your feed sometimes and mixed in with, all the Instagram variety,
Yeah.
I hope to be a contribution to people there.
Yeah.
And then for my own journey, which is my golf, entrepreneurship for me now, and the practice of law. I have Happy, Healthy ESQ.
You always have such good content, whether it's your day, golf, your golf outfits. I'm always like that makes me want to golf. Like that outfit makes me want to go golf right now. Like you
Thank
always look
you.
so good. You're amazing. Thank you so, so much for coming on the show. I love talking to you. I always love talking to you. Every time we hang out, I see you, we come to the yoga retreats. I'm just like, oh, your energy is just incredible. So thank you for sharing your energy with us today. Thank you for being on the show. And I can't wait to see what happens with everything you have going on. I'm so happy for you.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Thanks. Bye, everyone.